Hello, good morning, everybody. My name's Jason.
Morning, everybody, and I'm Steve.
We are the Highwaymen, and today we are discussing going to the doctors in England.
Trying to go to the doctors in England.
That's more like it. Before we start, though, we need to kind of explain to people who may or may not be aware that we have a national health system here, so we don't pay to go to the doctors. It's all included in our taxes. And basically, if you want to go to the doctors, the theory is you just turn up and they will see you and it will cost you absolutely nothing. The only thing you have to pay for is if you have any drugs, the doctors prescribe them for you and you pay a prescription charge, and you pay the same amount for your drugs no matter how much they cost. So it's about £9, which would be about what, $12 per prescription. So whatever drugs you have prescribed by the doctor, they'll cost you no more than $12. So no matter what they are. So that's our NHS system, which is absolutely brilliant. I mean, I think, I do think it is an amazing system that we've got. It does get abused by a lot of people. But we were talking today about going to the doctors. Now, I don't go to the doctors very often. I don't really get very ill. So it's not a massive problem for me. I know Steve's a bit of a hypochondriac, so I imagine he's in there all the time.
You're having a laugh. I'm never at the blooming doctors.
I remember the time that you were at work and you were ill and you were cuddled up against the radiator going, "Oh, I don't feel very well, I'm not very well, I'm not very well." And you were sort of hoping that someone would say to you, "Go home, Steve, you're not very well." Do you not remember that?
Fair play to me for coming in. Fair play to me for coming in.
You know, my family, we don't get sick. I've been at work now for nearly 40 years. I think I've had 5 days off sick my whole life. And in those 5 days, I've been literally in bed, unable to get out of bed. If I can get out of bed, I can go to work. That's how I view it. So there you go. So I don't go to the doctor very often.
No, I don't. Genuinely, so, I don't. I have high blood pressure, but that's so I probably have to go, I think, once every 6 or 7 months just to have a blood pressure test.
Yeah,
that's it. That's it. Really.
You can buy them. I've got one, a blood pressure monitor.
Yeah, no. It's not just that they test. Oh, okay. There's a couple of other bits and pieces.
Cough and drop as well.
I pay extra for that.
Oh, yeah. That's the prostate check you pay extra for, isn't it?
That's it. That's it. My God. I remember having that done years ago.
Oh, I've not had that yet. I'm not that old. But going to the doctor, so I don't know what it's like where you are, because they all seem to be different. At 8:30, you have to phone to get your appointment here, and it's like if you phone at 29 minutes past 8, you'll get just got ringing and nothing, or you get a message saying that that it doesn't open till 8:30, and then you ring it dead on 8:30, and it's engaged. Yeah, and you ring again, and it's engaged, and it's engaged because everybody's ringing at 8:30, and then you get in, and you finally get through, and it's the receptionist, and the first thing she says. Is it a medical emergency? Well, if it was a medical emergency, I'd be in the back of a fucking ambulance. Let's be fair. Yeah. And then you kind of sit there, well, I understand if you're going because you've got, I don't know, a sore elbow. It's not a medical emergency as opposed to something a bit more serious than that. So I kind of understand. But then they start asking you what's wrong with you.
Yeah, I hate this. Is the thing. You're a receptionist.
Yeah,
you're a receptionist.
You're not. You have no clue. Yeah, if you look at the adverts for medical, if you have a look at the job description of a medical receptionist, all it says is no experience necessarily. You just have to be really nosy. I think that's part of the job. But I always want to ring up and say, well, my left testicle swelled up to the size of a potato. Would you like me to send you a photo? I think that's what I'm going to try and do next time. Or something. I would. But I mean, if it is something of a personal nature as well, you don't want to be discussing it with a receptionist, do you?
My 12-inch penis appears to be growing daily, and I'm a little concerned about it. I think I'll pop round and show you.
Yes. Would you like a photograph just to see if I'm worthy of an appointment? So then you get your appointment, and often they take like 2 weeks to get an appointment at the doctor's, which is mad.
It's absolutely appalling. Well, I don't think, I have a theory, and I don't think there are any GP, right? A GP is a general practitioner, and that's what we call our doctors. So we also have doctors who work in the hospitals, and they do surgery and things like that. But the people that are out on the high street, or if you like, or in our village communities, are called GPs, and no, they're not a four-wheel drive vehicle. They're general practitioners, or the doctors, as we call them. But I don't think there's any left, Jay. I don't think there is any, because whenever you try and get hold of it, and I've got to say I haven't, but I do work with a lot of, listen to me, more elderly people as well. And they tell me about the trials and tribulations of trying to get to see their doctor. In fact, one such over in this country at the minute, we are inundated with strikes. And everyone, barristers have gone on strike, the railway have gone on strike, the buses have gone on strike, you name it. So I heard last week that the doctors were actually going on strike, and I thought, that's brilliant. I'll go and join the picket line. First chance I've had to see my doctor face to face for about 6 months. So it. Who knows? No one's ever seen one. No one has actually seen a real live doctor for many, many, many months.
But when you're a kid, I mean, I remember the doctor coming out to see us when we were ill, time and time again. You know, you ring up, you know, my child's got measles or whatever you think you've got, and the doctor will come out to see you at home. I mean, that was standard, wasn't it? You know, I mean, I was actually delivered. I was delivered at home by my doctor. I'm sure you probably were as well. That's kind of how it used to be. So obviously the population's grown and the number of doctors hasn't in line with the number of people.
No. I mean, the reality is, to become a doctor, you do the education that you need behind you to be able to get those is a very, very long, drawn out.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Drawn out thing, and it's not cheap either. That's the other side of the fence. No. You know, you've got to be able to support yourself, plus you've got to be able to go through these courses and everything else. So we did have an enormous amount of foreign doctors over here that have been trained up in different countries, and then that they've moved over here, which was brilliant. But I haven't even seen Doctor. I'm going to flip this on its head actually a little bit, Jay, now, because only last week just gone, Pam, it's dead weird. Pam went to work, she came home, my wife's a chef, and she came home and she said, I have got to go to the hospital. I don't know what I've done, but I think I've broken my wrist or something like that. And it was, and she was almost crying, trying to move it and everything else. So I said, well, what have you done? She couldn't remember banging it. She couldn't remember hitting it. She couldn't remember anything like that. It had literally come on during the course of the day and gotten steadily worse and worse and worse. So in rural Lincolnshire, and this is where we win now, Jay, not that far away from us is an emergency hospital. And it's not in one of the, well, it is a fairly large town. Anyway, she came home at about 6 o'clock in the evening. Obviously, we had tea first, obviously. Of course.
Not tea. Tea. Yeah, we just have to, differentiate the two.
And we got there about 8 o'clock at night. 8 o'clock at night at the accident and emergency, right? Yeah. This is honestly true, Jay. So we pulled up in the almost empty car park, literally right outside, no further away from your drive to your front door, right? Yeah. So we came out there, walked through into the reception bit. There was, over on the left was this lovely lady behind her plexiglass screen receptionist. She goes, "Are you all right, my love, over here?" So we went over there. So straight away, there was no queuing. Yeah. What's the matter? It was all fun and jovial. It was lovely. She made everyone feel good, and all the other bits and pieces. She says, "That's no problem." Did all her tappy bits and pieces. So if you just go over into the waiting room, which was directly opposite where we were. So we went and sat in there. We hadn't been sat down for 2 minutes. A door opened and out came a couple of people that had been seen. And they were, "Oh, thank you. Off they went. 5 minutes, Jay, is the most we sat there. The most before another door opened. Lovely bloke says, come on in now. So we go over there, had a good look. He said, well, I can see exactly what it is. If you look very closely, you've actually been bitten. That in the night, you've been bitten by something, and it's literally gone right into the bone. And Pam had this, had this huge reaction to it. So so anyway, he went and got a nurse. Nurse came in with his splinted it all up, antihistamines, blah blah blah. We walked out of there half an hour from looking up to leaving it again. All mended, happy days, absolutely brilliant. So it is there, and it does work when it works well. And it wasn't that many months ago I had to go to exactly the same place with Charlotte because we thought she'd broken her ankle.
Yeah.
And it was the same scenario.
Well, the last time I went into the A&E at Leicester, I think I got in there, it was late. I'd gone to bed and I wasn't very well at all. And I ended up going in at 11 o'clock at night. Long time ago now, since my dad was still alive, and he took me down, and I got out at 7 in the morning.
Oh my!
All right, waiting in A&E. I mean, they put me in a little room and everything, but yeah, got out at 7 in the morning. So, and again, it's worse being in the middle of a major sitter. If you're going like on a Friday or Saturday night, and you get, I mean, I've been there before where the drunks are all there riding around in the wheelchairs and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
it is a nightmare. I mean, the fact that we have to have security in hospitals now is pretty poor, really, isn't it? Just shows how times have changed, and that's quite a recent thing, really. But we are digressing. So yeah, so going to the doctors generally, I think it's massively changed over the years, anyway, hasn't it? I mean, I like to say, I think with the population, and not only that, the way they get used. I know a lady who used to be an ambulance driver. And she said, she had people phone an ambulance for period pains and stuff like that. She said there was a guy once who he was in Hinckley, and he phoned an ambulance because he couldn't get a taxi home, and he wanted to get taken back to Leicester, and he actually phoned an ambulance, and she said I cottoned on really well, and because where he was, we could take him to Coventry or to Leicester, so we took him to Coventry, knowing that he was
brilliant.
Leicester, and we took him to Coventry. And he said when he got out of the ambulance, he absolutely kicked off because he'd been taken to Coventry.
Love it.
But yeah, and and the amount of times she sort of told me that people would ring ambulances for, I've got a backache and it's been going on for like the last 3 months, and I've decided to ring an ambulance tonight. I mean, we do, not we. I mean, to me, I will phone an ambulance if I am at death's door. If I've had if I thought I'd had a heart attack or a stroke or somebody had something serious, I would phone an ambulance. But other than that, I would either wait for the doctor in the morning or I'd go down to A&E and make my own way down. But unfortunately, a lot of people don't see it like that. They see it that it's just like an on-call service. I actually think they should do some sort of recharge for ambulances if they get wrongly.
I think they do. I actually believe that is a thing.
I think technically they do, but the reality is they don't. I don't think they ever recharge anything. Same as like recharging foreign visitors. I don't know how that works as well.
No, I don't know anymore. I know when we lived in France and it was the other way.
Yeah.
When it was the other way round, it was brilliant. Yes, we did. We had to pay to go and see the doctor, but it wasn't much. It really wasn't much. I think back then it was something like 15 euros to go and see the doctor. It was a real full-on consultation, and and that was for an hour, I think. And they wouldn't let you go until you were happy. I remember again having to go and have some X-rays. This is in France, and we got sent to the hospital. Had these. Now back then we had an E11 or something like that.
Just explain that form. So if you're in Europe, it's a reciprocal agreement that if you're in another country, your country will pay for your medical care in any other European country. Carry on.
Yeah, sorry. And they gave her the X-rays about half an hour after having them took. Wow. So literally, she's got this great big envelope of all the X-rays in. That's unheard of here. That we then took back to the doctor, and the doctor had a look. Yeah, and then it went, it's this, that, and the other.
Well, when we were in Australia, we never actually used it. They've got a system called Medicare, which I think is similar to what they have in America, I think. But so you go to the doctor, you pay for it, or you pay a portion of it, and then you can claim it back through the Medicare. So you actually have to pay it yourself, which again possibly puts some people off going because they don't want to pay it themselves. So I think there's a better way of doing it perhaps than we do it. I mean, I say I think it's a great to live in a country where you know if you've got cancer, you will get cancer treatment. And it's horrible to think somewhere like America that if you've got something terminally wrong with you, you haven't got insurance, you haven't got the money to pay for it, they would just not deal with you, and that seems really odd. I think that's right, America. If anyone's watching this who can tell me differently, then please write it in the comments. We would love to know. So yeah, shocking.
So we are very lucky, Jay. It's been allowed to decline and decline and decline and decline as the years have gone by. When I say allowed to decline, I'm talking from governmental points just here. So rather than increase it, as the population has increased, we haven't increased the amount of nurses. In fact, we've decreased them. We haven't increased the amount of people coming and cleaning the hospitals. We've decreased them, and it's been allowed to slip into decline. And if COVID has taught us anything, then it's that we need to get back on top of that.
Well, I will say this about the nurses, because my daughter is shortly to be qualified as a nurse.
Yes.
And when she originally applied at Leicester University, there were only about a third of the spaces available for the people that wanted to actually train to be nurses. So the interest is there, but there aren't the college places. And not only that, is they're going into 30 grand worth of debt to get trained as a nurse. Now, Arissa was very, very fortunate, is that she actually had an apprenticeship. So she actually got to work in the hospital and get paid and get all her tuition paid for. I don't know whether it's a trial scheme or whatever, but obviously clearly that works because they're getting, people in, and as a start, they're doing all the basic stuff the HCAs would do. So they're not actually losing out on that way. And she's actually ended up being qualified at the end of this year. So which is great. But she's had a tough time because she worked in intensive care throughout COVID.
I remember,
she was one of those with a big proper masks on and all that kind of stuff. So she's really had it tough. But she's just got a brilliant personality for nursing, and she's going to make an excellent nurse. She's good.
And thank goodness for us, Jay, that there are people like your lovely daughter who want to come and do it, because that's something you can't teach people with this job.
No,
you've got to want to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you've got to have a caring nature. And her and her friend Hannah, who she met when she was doing it, are both such lovely girls, and both will make such brilliant nurses. And I think, like you say, for some people it is a vocation. You have to have that kind of caring nature. I couldn't do it. She's only young, and the stories about the amount of bodies that she put in bags and stuff like that, and you think she's only a young girl having to do stuff like that is just she's pretty amazing, really. There you go. Right, anything else to add on this, doctors and doctors receptionists?
Yeah, so we are very lucky to have what we've got. I think it does need mending, but then that's not a secret, is it? And it just needs some more money spending on it. So that's where we are.
And it needs people to start thinking about how whether they use it or they abuse it.
Yeah, come on, get real with it. There are genuine people that are in desperate need. I mean, a couple of examples. Do you know what? At work 2 years ago, year and a half ago, I think we were in COVID land, admittedly, and one of the guys at work, his hip came out, literally came out, and he couldn't. Fortunately, he was at the depot, and he couldn't stand, he couldn't sit. All he could do was stand on one leg, and people holding him up. He did, and he couldn't. He literally couldn't move. 6 hours before an ambulance came for him.
Wow.
6 hours. Now, admittedly, that was in the middle of the COVID thing, and no one really knew. So they were out and about all over the place. So it just shows you we need more ambulances, we need more ambulance crew, we need more nurses, and we need all the other logistical things that go with it to keep a hospital up and running. It's something that we should be proud of, and it needs to be back to a state where we can be proud of it.
Yeah, fair play.
And that would then, I think, take a lot of the heat off the general practitioners.
Yeah.
And they might decide to pop up out the woodwork and come and see some people properly, instead of sending them a photograph of your 12-inch penis and see what they think of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And on that note, we're going to call this one a day. Thank you very much for watching.
Good to see you all. Good health, everybody. See you next time.
See you next time.